I'm pleased to make my introduction here on our geographical view, because you know maybe Vienna and Bratislava are very close. So sometimes I found in the internet the notion Bratislava or Bratislava. So it could be very close, only connected to the Danube, or you can arrive here by bus. And so I think the only thing which is a little difficult is the different language, but you see we can find a language together as well. So my overview and my introduction would be that I'm building on a statement of research findings from the last 10 years. There is still improvement to report in the field of inclusive physical education. The legislation of the European Council had changed toward inclusive education in the end of the 1990s, but teacher education and practice realization still seem to stay behind in the theoretical intentions. So it seems necessary to ask questions, to reflect on the definitions and the findings, but then find answers for improvement. In order to define, the term inclusion is almost universally accepted in English terminology, but in some countries different terms, like in Austria, integration are still used. And according to some research, there is a limited number of quality published studies. You can call inclusive physical education, it is the practice of placing many different types of students together. In general, physical education has a philosophy that students should be educated together in one classroom instead of separate classrooms designed to meet special needs. Inclusion also means the general PE teacher will make the necessary changes in didactics, pedagogy, and curriculum to assure that all students will achieve their PE goals and be safe, happy, comfortable, and successful in the PE setting. Also, an inclusive school is a place where everyone belongs, is accepted, supports, and is supported by his or her peers and other members of the school community in the course of having his or her educational needs met. Inclusion and participation in physical education require a new approach and concept of shared activities and support between pupils with different recognitions and skills. Teachers and other experts involved in inclusive physical education therefore have to acknowledge children's diversity and seize the opportunity of using human variety in planning and arranging inclusive activities. The state of inclusion of students with disabilities in general physical education varies across European countries. In many countries, inclusive physical education is still a development process. So I was a little missing that is there any education for the teachers here for inclusion in your university? The conclusion of the literature review of Brian et al. Suggested that inclusion in physical education can effectively work for the child with disability, and it can work without negatively affecting peers without disabilities. They confirm that the success of inclusion is greatly increased when various factors as support, personal training, and positive attitudes exist. So I recall some conclusions of a presentation which I had at the FIEP Congress here in 2007. And the conclusion said that there is still a gap between theory and practice. There is a stagnation of inclusive development in PE. PE teachers do not get sufficient and qualitative education. PE teachers discover the teaching styles learning by doing. There is a need for improvement of education, teaching, quality system support. And I may emphasize that these have been partly confirmed. The same conclusions from our study with the International Committee of Sport Pedagogy, which were presented at ICSIS 2012 and the FIEP Congress in 2013. The issues found from these answers of these questions for global voices have been, as a notions policy curriculum, lack of parts issues: PE, education, and profession. So there is about this overview that these factors are very much influencing. Considering these so far unpublished findings, and will be published soon, this contribution intends to ask questions and will try to suggest provisions for the improvement of the problematic areas which are often reported to be the challenges of inclusive education. And so I also suggest, or I use some experts meeting which we had in UNESCO headquarters recently in Paris, and some of these suggestions are inspiring or partly take as examples. So the question I was going to ask is how to deal with the growing complexity and heterogeneity with respect to gender, ability, ethnicity, origin, irregular, and inclusive physical education. It has to be acknowledged that access to physical education and sport are complex and multi-phased, so that it is a predominant aim to raise awareness of diversity by focusing upon the roles of gender, ethnicity, religion, and ability. It seems that this in direct confrontation with the realistic situation for specific groups of students is necessary to identify the barriers for it, i.e. ask the relevant question and try to provide specific solutions. So the relevant question could be, is the curriculum gender sensitive? Is the curriculum sensitive to cultural identity? Is the teaching of physical education inclusive for all children, protective, gender responsive, encouraging of the participation of the learners themselves? Does the curriculum allow for variation in working methods to suit the environment within which it is being delivered? Do the learning materials cater to the needs of all students with special needs, including those with differing physical abilities, visually impaired or hearing impaired? The second question: how to improve the situation of lack of facilities and appropriate equipment? I recently supervised a master thesis in Austria, and it was only in a small province of Austria, and they noticed that 75% were not satisfied with the facilities. So even our very developed facilities, we don't have enough facilities and equipment. So what about the other countries of the developing world? So the questions have to be: are the learning environment provided safe and healthy? Does the budget provided enable schools to provide appropriate, adequate, and accessible equipment and facilities? Are schools provided with the resources to maintain existing facilities, equipment, and teaching materials? Is access to the facilities, equipment, and resources required for delivering a quality physical education given to those responsible for delivery as a first priority? Do the facilities and equipment used for physical education support access to provision for all students, including young persons with disabilities and girls, and take into account both ability and cultural specificities? The next question. Now, how to enhance teachers' competences and the need for personal and financial support? I can also recall students' work. There was a comparison between teachers in Italy and in Austria. And concerning the education of the teachers is interesting to have this look at the legislation in Italy. In theory, all teachers work in inclusive classes there, and students with disabilities are included in regular schools according to the laws. But these teachers still complain about the lack of competences for good quality teaching in physical education. But the results of this study was that they have a high professional satisfaction, because they often can rely on continuously collaborating team across the various school types, and in order to promote an individual support plan for the child, and also have exchange focusing on attitudes of young people and their communities. The improved communication between parties with vested interest in PE in schools could be motivated by conducting more local research that impacts in immediate issues for practitioners. As examples, I quote some of global voices. So they find their own way how they face those challenges. Creating of intercultural or religious awareness programs and community sensitization on the importance of PE is needed. Or we must be creative to reach our goal education. Regular involvement of all students in decision making and creating ideas for the education design is needed. And they also call upon collaboration between students with and without special educational needs. Is the more effective, the more often they are asked to do cooperative physical activities and games. Now I have a proposal answers for the second question, how to improve the situation of kind of facilities. Aspiration for managing the challenges from the Global Voices study include the demand to strengthen government commitment to policy and practice in PE, to improve resourcing of PE in schools, and to ask for more acceptance of heterogeneity by the teachers. And just short examples of the positive strategies which were named in this study. Improvise PE equipment in schools, so you don't have to rely on the prefabricated equipment, just to improvise and be creative. Teachers even buy equipment from their own money or create some. That was the answers from some of the global voices. They plan around what they have, some use free activities around simple things like balloons, ropes, sticks and balls. So I think the question about the teacher education couldn't be so easily improvised. So some proposals from these findings were review and improve initial teacher education and continued professional development. Have positive evaluation of team teaching. I think from this comparative study between Italy, it was the most important issue that collaboration between the teachers is so much necessary. It calls about team teaching. And because we know that this team teaching is so important, there's a big complaint that there is not enough financial support for paying these teachers. Some final quotes. PT programs include compulsory courses such as sports with special needs and adapted physical education, so it should be included. Communities of PE teachers are increasing, with autonomous association emerging in many cities. This is also was in the answers. Social media and web pages for PE teachers have increased, and most PE teachers are sharing their experiences and views through these networks. Increasing knowledge of teachers, curriculum development in different grades, which includes theoretical as well as practical content. And some of them say, I'm prepared as the professional that I am. I make my PE program respected, I motivate students, and teach them the importance of physical activity. Now I'm already for the final conclusions. Concluding the proposal, it can be summarized that it still depends on individual competences, flexibility, attitudes, and commitment of the teachers if inclusion is successful or not. Anyway, it is a condition that legal regulations and daily practice in IT must be aligned. A financial, material, and infrastructural support, sufficient education, and last but not least, the team collaboration. Thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to